At the weekend in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, where world leaders are discussing how to develop a new vision for global development. No thanks to the spate of geopolitics and violent crises in one place after another, leading to weak economic fundamentals that impact the markets. Now, here is an excerpt from this plenary session of political and policy leaders.
The world economy has proven to be resilient to repetitive shocks. And the question is why? The answer, because especially after the global financial crisis, in the case of Asia, after the Asia crisis, governments have taken to heart the need to have sound fiscal policies, the need to manage their public finances responsibly, and to create conditions for private sector-led growth. So fundamentals pay off. But we also recognize that we face two very serious problems. The first one is the one that you outlined. Growth, yes, 3.2% for this year, but really weak by historical standards. And two, significant divergence across the world. Some countries doing really well, and others falling behind. Unless we tackle these two problems, we are going to have a difficult time. We may end up this decade being remembered as the turbulent 20s or the tepid 20s, and what we actually want is transformational 20s. You're asking me, what can we do? What we do is continue to build the strength of your economies by being responsible in your public finances, being responsible in monetary policy. There is no substitute for it. In fact, after these years of testing the limits of public finance to support households and businesses, time has come to rebuild fiscal buffers, to rebuild that strength.
Firstly, I think, Christina, you made a very important reference to the issue of governance, fiscal responsibility, because without that, countries cannot move. You must start with certain priorities, because countries can grow, has enormous potential. We had that experience in the 1990s. In fact, with the World Bank and the IMF considers this as the East Asian miracle. I quite dispute that, but notwithstanding, it was spectacular. We have seen spectacular progress. But we also have to learn from the flaws of endemic corruption, of gross inequality between the rich and the poor, the propensity to adopt unbridled capitalism to the extent that you ignore the plight of the masses deprived from basic opportunities. So we have to steer that policy issue of governance, of fiscal responsibility. At the same time, do not lose sight of the key priorities, which is relevant in this session, the issue of globalization, of interdependence. We adopt a very fierce foreign policy position to engage and depend on the support, collaboration, investments from the West, the United States, Europe, at the same time maintain excellent bilateral relations with China, Korea, Japan, and more importantly with China because of the potential. And of course we have to grapple with these sensitivities, which is not our problem, is the problem of the rest. And I've said it probably quite pronounced in Australia when asked. I said, please do not impose your problem upon us because we are in an emerging economy with enormous problems of our own. We have to now grapple with the issue of digital transformation. And so you mentioned about these semiconductors. We are fortunate because we have been now the focus. In the past has been always in the back end. But with the new investments coming in from America, from Germany, from China, the focus has shifted to the front end, which means new challenges. We have to train differently. We have to refocus on the issue of technical training and TVETs, which was somewhat ignored in the past.
Along the line, there is a parallel arrangement to really cushion the effect of the subsidy removal on the vulnerable population of the country. We share the pain across board. We cannot but include those who are very vulnerable. Luckily, we have a very vibrant, youthful population interested in discoveries by themselves and highly ready for technology, good education, committed to growth. We were able to manage that and partition the economic drawback and the fallout of the subsidy removal. Equally, it engendered transparency, accountability, and physical discipline for the country. And that, to me, is more important to focus on what direction we should go. And we pursue that rigorously. The currency management was necessary equally to remove the artificial element of value in our currency. Let our local currency find its level and compete with the rest of the world currency and remove arbitrage, corruption, and opaqueness.
One is putting the people at the center of everything we are doing. And therefore, that means investments in our human capital. How do we develop it, and how does it find that space to be able to contribute and to their own well-being and development? And in that, we have invested in education, in health, and above all, technology has been a focus for us, and integrating that in the education system or in the health services as we move forward. Like for health services, for example, we find we have made use of technology like drones, where you find drones are developing and delivering health services to rural hospitals and so on and so forth. So I'm talking about investing in education, and technology and health, but being brought together by that technology that we also invest in. I think that was mentioned, and technology keeps changing, and it's evolving to new levels of complexity. That's why we're talking about artificial intelligence. Even in that area, Rwanda has not been left behind. We are investing in that, as well as we invest in agriculture. How does it move forward, and how do we have food self-sufficiency, and how do we also take that into the integrated continent we are talking about?